Theo Dorsey here with ESPN 1063, and I'm joined by the newly minted head coach of the Benjamin Buccaneers, Jason Besler. You're not just a guy that comes in with a bevy of experience, but you also are a person that comes in taking over a program that has had a lot of success over the last few years. What was it like first getting acclimated to Benjamin, and as you gauge where the team is now in the offseason in the summer, how pleased are you with the way that the players and the school have adapted to you?
Theo, I'm very well pleased. The young men have come in and worked extremely hard. They've been very open to learning new things and trying to just establish a path forward, building on what we want to be known as, and that's a smart, aggressive, fast, and explosive football team. So, I was familiar with Benjamin before I got the hire. I came actually here and spoke last year in a leadership conference series that the Benjamin has, and that was my familiarity with them. And prior to that, when I worked at the Players Association, I actually came in and started one of the first mentorship programs with NFL players, engaging them with high school players in this area. So I've been very familiar with the people that have been here, the schools that have been here, and so it really wasn't a big transition, to be perfectly honest with you.
That's great to hear and good for the future of the Bucks here. I do want to say, and I'm not sure if the information is everything I read on the internet is correct, but happy belated birthday.
Yesterday,
There we
just
go.
chilled out and relaxed. Good day here in a little rainstorm, but it was all right.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, you know what? Yesterday was my birthday too, so I just went out and got a little dinner and kicked.
Wow.
So
Okay. Okay.
I knew you was good people when I popped you up there. You for you, man, I know you have a history, right? You were a defensive back in the NFL, played for the Colts, played for the Chiefs. You've been around a lot of good football. You've been around a lot of great football minds. Who do you think you have soaked up the most from just being around? And how much do you think Benjamin's going to benefit from being able to get some of that?
And that's a wonderful question. I've soaked up a lot and been around a lot of wonderful football coaches from the time that I was in high school, most certainly in college. Let me just tell you who I still speak with. I still speak with my high school coach, Coach Johnson. I still speak with my prior coach, Coach Switzer. Spoke with him yesterday.
Mm.
I
Barry
still
Switzer.
speak with Coach Vic Fangio, who was probably the most instrumental coach that I had when I was in the NFL. The brilliant mind of his, man, when he just transformed my career to where the game just completely slowed down for me because I could understand exactly what he was saying. And I'll never forget, he told us, if you just come in and you listen to me in the meetings, you will not have to study when you go home. But if you want to be an exceptional player, you'll listen to me in the meetings and then you'll go home and it'll really make sense to you. Then you become an exceptional player. So, I mean, I've had great coaching wherever I've been at. I've been blessed to be with people who really cared about the coaching profession. And when I say coaching, I'm talking about actually teaching young men how to be better at their craft than what they first started at. And so I would say Vic Fangio, Barry Switzer, Coach Bruce Johnson, Coach Proctor, my DB coach at Oklahoma, who passed away this year, 92 years old. I would say George Katavolis, my coach at the Indianapolis Colts, that was my position coach. So these men I still talk to each and probably at least once or twice, maybe three times a year, depending on always on Christmas, always at the beginning of the football season. When it comes to like really learning the X's and O's, I still go back to Coach Switzer. His mind is so powerful, uh, and he can see the game beautifully from high school because that's where he made his living at understanding what talent was and how to evaluate it, and then putting it in a position where it could excel. Um, and
What was
like he
that like,
says,
by the way, being recruited by a legendary coach like that?
well, see, I had an inside Coach Switzer and my mother from the same hometown.
Mm.
So when I was growing up watching Oklahoma and Nebraska on Thanksgiving, Um, I always knew where I wanted to go to school at. It probably wasn't until my junior year, into my junior year, where when Coach Switzer's recruit Jim Donnan came in. He came in on the exact same day that Tom Osborne did, and and then I realized I can probably play at this next level. So, but it wasn't easy. I was an outsider. They typically only recruited Texas and Oklahoma, and I'm coming from Kansas City, Missouri. So, make a long story short, I got the last scholarship because a young man in Oklahoma decided to go play baseball. And so that's the scholarship that I got. And I'll never forget that I said I will prove to them that I was worthy of this scholarship. So that's what I always try to do.
Worked out. Look, the
Yep.
Colts went and got you in the NFL draft. Rest is history. Now the Benjamin Buccaneers are blessed to have somebody with literally, overflowing with knowledge and talents to get started. What do you do? What are the first steps when you come to a school like Benjamin, which we do know had a bit of an exodus of athletes after Coach Eric Kresser left. Many of them to your rival in Cardinal Newman. And now you're taking over a program that's kind of going to be like a rebuild, retool, figure out what athletes you can use for your program. Like, what are the first steps for you?
The first steps was just to come in and introduce the young man to what I believe is a key to having a good football program. And that's number one, you got to have smart players. Okay. You have to have smart players that can understand and want to do what you are asking them to do. You got to get them to buy in. And to me, buying in means I show up and I do what I say each and every day. I tell them the truth. I'm an honest evaluator. And I ask them a couple things. How bad do they want to be good? And this is the individual athlete. And if you tell me that you're a competitor, I need to see you competing each and every day. I need to see you competing in the classroom. I need to see you competing in the weight room. I need to see you competing amongst your peers to say, hey, this is how we become a good football program. And so I just showed up and I said, hey, I'm going to present myself in an authentic way because that's the way I've always done it. And I told them, if you are willing to work hard, we'll build an offense that is indicative of the talent that we have. That was the first question that all the kids wanted to ask me. Well, what type of offense do you run?
I was going to ask you the next thing. That was.
Man, I don't get into that. Man, offenses, I don't care if it's the wishbone, I don't care if it's the spread, it's still 11 players catching, running, and tackling and blocking, uh, on the offense side of the ball. And so I run an advantage based offense. What offense is going to give me the advantage to win on Friday night? So, what that means is we have to be the most fundamentally sound team on the field. We have to have no weaknesses or very few. And the ones we do have, we have to make sure that they do not cost us a football game. So, once again, I don't care if it's the spread. I don't care if it's the air raid. I don't care if it's a pro style underneath the quarterback. We have to be able to do it all. And so that's what we look at. We look at what's going to give us the advantage. We run an advantage based offense that's going to give us an opportunity to be in the game in the fourth quarter against the big rivals that we need to be in the game against.
The versatile, newly minted head coach of the Benjamin Bucks, Jason Bessler, joining me, Theo Dorsey, here on ESPN 1063, talking Bucks, talking about the future of the program. And also, I mean, what does this time of year look like for a head football coach? Not seeing the players probably as much. I'm sure you gave them some things to work on in this offseason period. Like, what is it like these days right now?
So for us, we just finished up we had a scrimmage versus Inlet. I was very happy the way that scrimmage turned out. Most thing I was impressed by is that we only had one mental error. Young men played fast, they played physical. That's our mantra: safe football, smart, aggressive, fast, and explosive. They executed that on just about every play. So what we're doing right now is we just got out of our finals. So we had the young men had the week off, completely away from football. That's the Benjamin rules, and I hold it and totally agree with that. So where they can just focus on their finals. And so what we're doing right now, they'll have another about a week off, and then we'll start back up on June the 2nd. And we'll go from July the 28th to July the 28th. And it's going to be just getting in a football condition mindset. That's physically, that's emotionally, that's psychologically, that's spiritually. Most important, we'll have install days where we're learning what we need to do at an efficient level for us to have success. And it'll be a lot of conditioning, getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and then building camaraderie around the program. We
Uh,
want to see who's going to be accountable. That's really what we're trying to figure out. You say you like football. If you like football, we're going to give you an opportunity to be around it from 7:45 in the morning to about 11:45 a.m. And then you can go to the beach or go work or do whatever you want to. But from those times, it's going to be about buck grit. How gritty can we get?
who coaches a tougher practice in the off season, you or Switzer?
Oh man, shoot, I mean, I learned from them, but I believe in having fun. Football is a physical game. It's a game that has a lot of competition to it. So I want to make practices competitive. I want to
Mm.
make them fun. We have music, when we're practicing. Some coaches say, I don't want to, that's a disruption. Man, it's so much going on during a game. So if you have music at practice and that's being a disruptor to you, you probably getting ready to get some trouble on a Thursday or Friday night. So, we just want to make it fun, competitive, safe. Everything that we do is about making sure it's done in that way, and just building a camaraderie of around football. Um, our values are different than a lot of schools. Okay, and from that standpoint, what I mean is, I'm probably never going to have a program that's going to be, too deep with everybody that has aspirations of going to play college football. But the ones I do have, I want them to be coached up, and they will be, and they'll be ultimate competitors, and they'll understand how to play the game of football and play it with a passion and an intensity that their teammates can be proud of.
Coach Jason Besler here joining me, head coach of the Benjamin Bucks, entering year one here. Excited to see what the fall looks like. I'm curious if you're just excited now to be coaching in a place where it's just so lovely to be, darn near year round. I mean, how does Palm Beach County compare to your previous coaching stops across America here?
Okay, I started in Virginia, and I will say the weather in here is much better than it is in Virginia. People always want to tell me about how hot it's going to get. You'll never hear me complain about how humid or how hot it is, because Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas, with my second stop, it gets hot. So everybody always wants to talk about where they live at is the hottest place. Yeah, you got hot, but you got a beach to go to every day. Um, so I pinch myself every day driving into work. I love it.
The
I
palm
love
trees, man. Like, have you gotten adjusted to just seeing palm trees everywhere?
yeah. We got palm trees in Texas. I have palm trees on my property in
Them ain't real,
Texas.
them
So
ain't real palm trees. I'm from Houston. Look, it's different out here. You driving down one of them roads and they everywhere.
yes, you're very it is different. It is different. So yes, but I've been in tropical places, so I love it. I mean, I love the shower burst. I was out jogging yesterday doing my 12 miles, and halfway into it, a shower burst came down, and I just enjoyed it, and just, hey, let's do what we do.
I ain't mad at that, even though I don't know when the last time I've ran 12 miles in a month, let alone in one outing. So I gotta commend you on that. Jason
Appreciate it.
Jason Bester joining us here, Benjamin Buccaneers head coach, as he's gearing up for what is going to be a fun and rigorous offseason of summer workouts for the Bucks. I want to leave you on this one here. You mentioned all of the guys, the coaches that impacted you along the way from high school through college through the pros, who you've maintained a relationship with and a connection with that's meaningful to you. How will you define what success is for you at Benjamin for however long you're going to be coaching the Bucks? Because I do understand, you're not just trying to win football games, you're not just trying to hang banners, but you're impacting, young men's lives.
Yeah, that's the most important thing I want to do. I want to build relationships. Having a relationship with a young man that you're coaching is probably the most valuable relationship you can have outside of being a father and a husband. Um, you look at high school coaches; they're responsible for developing and shaping so many men's lives, millions of young boys to men, especially at this game and the game level in high school. So when it's said and done, I want them to say, "Hey, that's a guy that I can call and ask. about anything that's going on in my life, and he's gonna pick up the phone and help me through what I'm going through, or just give me some advice, because that's what my coaches did for me. Um, you know, my basketball coach, Bud Lathrop, he's the winningest high school basketball coach in the state of Missouri. Uh, when I was there, we had won 3 state championships. I spent as much time with him as I did with my football coach because I was a 3 sport athlete.
Mm.
And just the lessons that you learn over the time, the nuggets that you take from them, they're not just apropos to the football field or the basketball court. I want them to be apropos to life. And, if I can't be someone's first or second phone call when they need some advice or some counseling, then I haven't done my job.
And I wouldn't have done my job if I didn't ask you what position you play in basketball. Like, what's your NBA comp? Like, I need to know what Jason Besser is like on the hardwood.
Oh
Like,
no, man! I had put it this way. I could put it this way. That's how I got to Oklahoma. When they finally brought in, when they said we want to give you a scholarship, we're gonna bring the DB coach, Coach Proctor, up to work you out, and it was during basketball season. And so they couldn't, you couldn't have any really contact with them. So they just told me to run around on the gym floor and do some backpedaling. So I grabbed the basketball, threw an alley oop, and yacked it at 5'8", and that solidified it. But I had a terrible jump shot. Put it that way. I was a lockdown guard.
okay. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm thinking about lockdown
There's, there,
guards. They can throw it off the backboard and
I
slam
could get up. I could get up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma made the right decision. Appreciate your time again and good luck this offseason and going into the fall.
Theo, I appreciate it. Anytime you need me, just let me know.
We'll do. Thanks.